This is Litchfield Mayor Steve Doherty. Welcome to our presentation today. We're going to be talking about Litchfield Lake Louis Yeager and the fact that it's an important water supply and a recreation facility, over 1,300 square acres. And it's also a very big part of our economic development and our plans for the future. So you'll have an opportunity to react to our presentation, and we'll move on from here.
Thank you, Steve. I want to thank and welcome you to our first public Zoom meeting pertaining to the development of Lake Louis Yeager Watershed Plan. My name is Aaron Engstrom. I am the District Conservationist with the USDA NRCS office out of Hillsborough. On the call this afternoon, we have the Mayor of Litchfield, Steve Daughtry, Lake Superintendent, Eric Lamb, Matt Robert, the State Engineer for the NRCS office out of our Champaign State office, Matt Harper, who is the Project Manager for Ad Astra, and Travis Pendleton, who is the Public Engagement for the firm Ad Astra. So with that said, I want to thank you again for joining, and Matt Harper will go into more detail of the project.
All right. Thank you, Aaron. Yeah, my name is Matt Harper, and I'm the project manager with Ad Astra for the project. And I take care of the day-to-day project tasks along with project coordination. For today's meeting, we'll go over what's happening with the project, including the project purpose and the reason we're doing the project, and the process and the schedule, including where we are now and what will be coming up next. And then we'll go over the existing conditions, including just kind of going over what the existing structure is and the existing components of Lake Louis Yeager. And then we want to get your input. So we'll go over how we do that, how you get your comments to us, and how we will use those. And then we'll end with kind of the next steps and what's coming up on the project. So the purpose of the project is to complete a supplemental watershed plan and environmental document. The watershed plan and environmental document describes the existing conditions and identifies alternative solutions to the problem. Identifies the preferred alternative by also looking at the environmental impacts and also historical and social impacts. The watershed plan and environmental document must follow the National Environmental Policy Act, or NEPA, process. NEPA was passed in 1969, and it establishes the requirements that federal agencies must follow. Two of those are they must analyze the environmental, both social, economic, and natural impacts of the federal actions, and they must also include the public in the decision-making process. So what are the elements of the NEPA process? One is it must identify the purpose and the need for the action. ShoalCreek structure number 4, the Lake Louis Yeager Dam, is currently classified as a high hazard dam, and it was determined to be out of compliance with the current NRCS and state dam safety criteria and performance standards. Another aspect of the NEPA process is identifying the environmental issues associated with the proposal. In this case, we will include identifying the current environmental issues with the project. The alternatives must also be formulated as part of the process. We will look at alternatives to get the dam back in dam safety compliance. Those alternatives that are developed, for each alternative, the environmental impacts must be analyzed as well. We will look at the environmental impacts for each alternative, including endangered species, vegetation, wetlands, and also the historical and cultural impacts. All this analysis that we're doing, it must be documented as part of the NEPA process. Everything, the process that we're following, the procedures, the results, all that will be documented in the watershed plan and environmental report. Following that, a decision must be made and documented to meet the purpose and the need for the action. That will also be included in the watershed plan and environmental document. This slide here, this just shows some of the resource concerns that we'll be looking at as we are going through the project and looking at the alternatives, developing the alternatives. You can see on here, we'll look at the floodplains and how those are impacted, threatened and endangered species, recreation, transportation, meaning the roads and bridges that could be impacted. These are some of the things we'll be looking at. So as far as the schedule goes, what you're looking at here is a rough schedule of the and timeline for the project. In winter of 2020 and 2021, which is where we are now, towards the end of that, we'll be collecting and analyzing data on the existing conditions. Currently, we have drilled part of this process. We have taken 2 soil borings and collected soil data. That information has been sent off to the lab, and we'll use those results as part of our existing condition analysis. We're holding our first public meeting now to gather feedback from the public on the project, their concerns, what Lake Lou Yeager means to them, things like that with this first public meeting. And then all of this goes into developing that purpose and need and supporting that purpose and need. Fall of 2021, we will have developed the alternatives and evaluated them, and we'll hold our second public meeting to present these alternatives to the public, and again, providing the opportunity for your feedback. Fall of 2022, the alternative or the preferred alternative and draft environmental document will be complete. Again, we'll have our third public meeting. We'll present the preferred alternative and draft environmental document, and again, provide the opportunity for the public comment. So let's get into the existing conditions of the dam and Lake Lou Yeager. The construction on the lake was completed in 1965. It is approximately 8 miles long and a half mile wide at its widest part, and is mainly used for flood control and recreation, including fishing and boating, and it is also the water supply to the citizens of Litchfield. The anticipated improvements are related to relieving the dam safety concern, getting it back up to the state and NRCS dam safety standards and performance criteria. It'll continue to be the municipal water supply and storage recreation, and then we want it to maintain the existing level of protection that it does now. So a little bit on the project area. Lake Lou Yeager is located in Montgomery County, just east of Litchfield, Illinois. And Litchfield is the largest city in Montgomery County. There's also some information here on the demographics, males and female percentages in both Montgomery County and the city of Litchfield. These 2 maps here, the one on the left, again, it gives you a reference of where the lake is in reference to Litchfield. It is just northeast, and you can see the existing land use, mainly farmland with some forests around the lake as well. The map on the right, it's a little bit closer view of the lake. The structure number 4, or the dam, is located at the south end of the lake. It includes a primary spillway, an auxiliary spillway, and then a water supply and lake drain riser structure. So the existing, more on the existing conditions. ShoalCreek watershed, structure number 4, it's a 54-foot high and 1,305-foot long earthen embankment with Montgomery County Route 14 running along the top of it. It is classified as a high hazard dam, and a high hazard dams are those where failure may cause loss of life or serious damage to homes, industry, roads, railroads, etc. downstream. As I said before, there's a primary spillway, an auxiliary spillway, and a water and lake drain riser structure associated with the dam. The primary spillway is a large concrete rectangular OG crested drop inlet with a stilling basin. The photo on the left there is the concrete primary spillway, rectangular primary spillway, and the photo on the right is the primary spillway outfall channel with the stilling basin at the end. When the spillway is in use, the water flows under the Montgomery County Route 14 bridge over the dam and into the outfall channel. The auxiliary spillway is located at the east end of the dam, and it is approximately 12 feet below the top of the dam. It is approximately 470 foot wide, and it is a vegetated channel. The water supply and lake drain structure is a concrete riser structure, as you can see there on the picture on the left. There's a concrete box culvert, 4 foot wide and 5 foot high, that leaves that riser structure and goes through the dam and outfalls on the other side. The photo on the right is a picture of that outfall structure, or the outfall of that concrete culvert. Also included in this is the water supply pipe. It is an 18-inch conduit that leaves the riser structure and also goes in the concrete box culvert. It is an 18-inch concrete pipe. So as part of our existing conditions investigation, we also look at previous reports that have been done and recent reports. Ones we're looking at are a few of the ones we're looking at is the rehabilitation assessment report, which was completed in 2016. The latest dam inspection report was completed in 2015 of December, and the emergency action plan was dated 2008. So part of our project, part of the project, as I mentioned before, is we're going to evaluate potential alternatives to improve the condition of the dam and get it back into dam safety compliance. We'll be looking at structural improvements and non-structural improvements. Structural improvements would include modifications to the existing spillways, and we'll look at 2 alternatives there. Non-structural improvements, one would be doing nothing or decommissioning the dam. The other non-structural improvement would be constructing a sediment basin at the upstream end, which would improve or limit the sediment that is getting into the basin now, or into the lake now. And now I'll hand it over to Travis, and we'll talk about how we get your input and everything. Travis?
Thanks, Matt. It's really important that we hear from the community about this project. We want to know from you, what does Lake Lou Yeager mean to you? When you think about the dam rehabilitation project, what types of impacts do you want it to have? What comes to your mind? Are you concerned about the lake? Are you concerned about local businesses, neighboring properties, natural and community resources, safety? What types of impacts come to your mind, and what feedback would you like to share in relationship to that? That's what we want to know. We also want to know, when you think about potential benefits of this project, what are those? Again, we're talking about a dam rehabilitation project. So what comes to your mind there? As well as any other questions, concerns, or comments that you would like to share, we would like to get that feedback from you. Now, the way that we're going to collect the feedback is with an online survey. And so Matt will go to the next slide to show that. The link to the survey is www.surveymonkey.com/r/Lake Lou Yeager. That's the primary way that we're going to collect feedback for this project. However, sometimes people don't like to go online. It's easier to go to City Hall. It's easier to maybe go to the field office. If that's what you prefer, you're more than welcome to go and do that and then share your comments there, and staff will collect them and then get them back to the consultant team. And with that, Matt will go into the next steps.
Thank you, Travis. So the next steps, and I hinted on this a little bit earlier with the schedule, but we're in that point where we're developing that purpose and need and continuing to reinforce that with our background evaluation and existing conditions. Like I said before, following that, fall of this year, fall of 2021, we will have developed the alternatives to improving the dam and hold our second public meeting for comment. So keep an eye out for that information. Also in fall of 2022, a year after that, we'll have developed the preferred alternative and the draft environmental document. Again, we'll hold the third public meeting and we'll present the preferred alternative and draft environmental document and have the ability for you to comment again on those items.
Thank you, Matt. Thank you for going into the details of the project. At this time, I want to share a little more information with you. If you have any questions on the specific planning details or the process of the project, Matt Harper is your contact. Eric Lamb with the City of Litchfield would be your contact to give you details to the rationale for this project. And myself, Aaron Inkstrom, would be your contact as it relates to the funding for this project and any other questions you might have on this project. So at this time, I'll give our mayor an opportunity for his final thoughts on the project.
Okay, this is Litchfield Mayor Steve Doherty. Thank you for listening to our proposal today, and your input is very important. It's going to help us determine the purpose and need and the rationale for the project. We look forward to your assistance in it.